Ashley stepped through the front door with a sharp exhale, the scent of a long day's exhaustion on her heels. Her hand gripped the doorframe, the other balancing a purse that seemed to weigh more than it should, as if it was the sum of every decision, every lie, and every hidden thing she'd been carrying around. "Noah, can you grab the car keys? I parked out front. The trash can was blocking the driveway. See if you can put it back where it belongs and pull the car in," she said, her voice a mix of urgency and fatigue. Noah, who had been standing in the kitchen, froze for a second before responding. "Sure, no problem." He wiped his hands on the dish towel and walked toward the living room, his gaze flicking to Ashley for a moment as she unstrapped her heels, tossing them carelessly near the door. She was moving fast, too fast, as though she wanted to end the day before it could drag any longer. She didn't seem to notice him at first as he approached the couch where her purse had been discarded. He could hear the faint rustle of papers, the hum of her phone vibrating with notifications she'd been ignoring all day as he reached for the purse. His fingers brushed over the smooth leather before unzipping the side pocket. His eyes flicked between the phone, the purse, and the clutter on the coffee table. But there, wedged between the sleek perfume bottle and her wallet, something caught his attention. A receipt. Noah paused, a sharp twinge of unease tightening in his chest. Hillside Bar and Grill. The letters were bold, expensive-looking, the kind of place they only visited on anniversaries or special occasions, when the night was supposed to be about celebration, not secrecy. His heart rate kicked up as he unfolded the paper, the crinkle of the receipt sounding like a gunshot in the quiet room. The date printed at the top was from the night before, exactly when she'd claimed she was at the office working late. He skimmed the details. 2 main courses, 1 bottle of wine. Not one part of it. There was no reason she should have been at that restaurant unless she was with someone. The pieces were slipping into place too easily, too naturally. He had known something was off, but the evidence, the proof, was sitting right in front of him. Noah's fingers tightened around the paper, his knuckles white. He forced himself to breathe, to control the impulse that was building inside him. "She's been lying to me." The thought echoed in his head like a dull drumbeat, making everything else seem distant and muffled. His throat went dry. He hadn't been expecting this. He hadn't even considered it. She'd always been careful, always seemed so meticulous, so devoted. But now, all of that was crumbling. The sound of Ashley's voice interrupted his thoughts, her tone sharp and impatient as she shouted from the other room. "Noah? Are you getting the keys or what?" He folded the receipt back up, slipping it into his pocket. The weight of it felt like a stone. He walked slowly toward the front door, trying to keep his breathing steady. The keys were right where she said they would be, sitting innocently on the kitchen counter. But his hands shook as he reached for them, his mind racing with 1,000 questions he wasn't sure he was ready to ask. "Yeah, I got them," he called back, trying to keep his voice even. "I'll pull the car in." He left the house quickly, his footsteps heavy on the porch as he walked to the car, feeling the weight of his actions pull at him with each step. The night air hit him like a slap, sharp and cold, but it did nothing to calm the heat rising in his chest. He tried to push everything aside, the questions, the fear, the doubt, but it was impossible. The engine roared to life as he started the car, the headlights sweeping across the driveway. He paused, his fingers gripping the wheel as he fought with himself. The temptation to confront her right now, to drag the truth out of her, was almost overwhelming. But a small, quiet voice inside him urged restraint, warned him to wait, to think, to make sure he wasn't jumping to conclusions. But it didn't matter. Nothing about this felt right as he pulled the car into the driveway, the tires crunching against the gravel. Noah's eyes caught the empty space next to the trash can where it had been moments before. Everything in his life, everything they had built together, suddenly felt like it was teetering on the edge of something he couldn't control. And all the while the receipt burned in his pocket. Every moment, every minute that ticked by, only deepened the silence between them. Noah parked the car in the garage and turned off the engine, but his heart was still racing. Outside the cold wind blew but he didn't feel it. Everything had shifted so quickly. Everything he thought was solid was crumbling in an instant. He had felt for so long that something was off, but it had never been this clear. Now there was an explanation for everything. And it was sitting right in front of him, in a piece of paper. As he walked toward the house, his mind spun with questions, his steps slower than usual. He was dreading what he knew he had to confront, but each step seemed to drag him closer to the truth. He looked up at the door, and the emptiness on the other side felt oppressive. Then, his eyes landed on her purse again. The soft leather of it now looked like a trap. Ashley hadn't come in yet. Her footsteps echoed from the hallway. Noah could hear the soft click of her heels, and then she appeared, her face tired, her eyes carrying that distant look that had become familiar in the last few days. "Did you get the keys?" she asked, glancing around. "It's freezing out there. And you still haven't shut the door." Noah took a deep breath. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the keys. "Yeah, I got them," he said, his voice too calm, too even. "I just had something on my mind." Ashley shrugged off her coat and tossed it onto the chair, distracted. "Okay, whatever. I'm just glad this day is over." Her tone was dismissive, and Noah felt a growing knot in his stomach. She walked toward the kitchen, pulling out a glass from the cabinet, her back turned to him. Noah stood still for a moment, staring at the couch where her purse lay carelessly on the armrest. He felt his pulse thrum in his ears. The receipt was still in his pocket, burning a hole in him. His footsteps felt heavier as he followed her, standing in the doorway of the kitchen. "We need to talk, Ashley." The words were out before he could stop them. They hung in the air between them, and everything seemed to freeze for a moment. Ashley turned slowly, her hand still on the edge of the counter. Her face tightened, and her eyes narrowed in confusion. What do you mean?" Her voice faltered. Noah took a step forward, the tension thickening around them. "I mean this." He pulled the crumpled receipt from his pocket and held it out toward her. "Hillside Bar and Grill. Last night, 8 p.m. You told me you were working late at the office. But the time, the dinner, it doesn't add up. Do you really think I wouldn't notice?" Ashley's face went pale as she glanced down at the paper. For a moment she didn't move. Her fingers tightened around the glass she was holding, but she didn't take a step closer. She was trapped in that moment of realization, just as Noah had been when he first found the receipt. Her voice was barely a whisper. It's not what you think," she murmured, almost too quietly for him to hear. Noah's eyes narrowed. "Then what is it, Ashley? Because right now, I'm not seeing any other explanation." Ashley exhaled shakily, her eyes flitting to the floor, then back to him. I didn't want you to know. It's complicated." Noah's chest tightened as the words hit him like a punch. "Complicated? You lied to me, Ashley. You've been lying to me this whole time." His voice was steady, but his grip on the receipt tightened. Ashley took a step back, her eyes glistening with something, regret perhaps, but it didn't feel like enough. "Please," she whispered, her hands trembling slightly. "Just listen. It's not as simple as it seems. I need you to trust me. Just for a moment." Noah stood frozen, his emotions crashing against each other. His thoughts were a whirlwind of confusion and anger, but there was a flicker of something else, doubt, fear, maybe even pity. "Trust you? After this?" His voice broke, but he fought to keep controlled. Ashley's shoulders slumped, and she looked at him with something like desperation in her eyes. "Please just give me a chance to explain. Not now, but later. I'm begging you." Noah shook his head, disbelief clouding his vision. "You don't get it, Ashley. The truth is already here." He held up the receipt, his hand trembling. "You can't hide this." He turned and walked toward the front door, his mind screaming for answers, for something, anything that made sense. The cold air hit his face as he stepped outside, but it did nothing to clear his head. Behind him, Ashley's voice was barely audible, like a soft plea lost in the wind. Noah stood outside for a moment, letting the cold night air hit him like a wave. His breath fogged in front of him as his thoughts spiraled. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet, and the silence tightened around him like a rope. Every part of him wanted answers, but the fear of hearing them felt just as heavy behind him. The door creaked softly. Ashley didn't step out, but Noah could feel her presence, hesitant, fragile, like she was afraid he might vanish if she approached too quickly. "Noah!" Her voice trembled. "Please don't walk away." He didn't turn around. "I'm not walking away," he said, his tone low, controlled. "I just needed a second to breathe." Ashley took a small step into the doorway, her arms crossed tightly as if she was trying to hold herself together. "I know how this looks. I know what you're thinking. And I hate that I made you feel this way. Noah let out a bitter laugh. You didn't make me feel anything. You lied. That's what hurt. Ashley swallowed hard. Can we talk inside? Please. He hesitated. Going back in meant facing everything he was terrified of hearing. But staying out here would only prolong the inevitable. Finally, he nodded and walked back toward the house. Ashley stepped aside to let him in, closing the door gently behind them. They stood in the living room, a heavy silence filling the space between them. The purse sat on the couch like a reminder of everything that had gone wrong. Ashley finally spoke. I wasn't with someone else, she said quietly. I wasn't cheating on you. Noah crossed his arms, jaw clenched. Then tell me who you were with and why you lied. She lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes. It wasn't supposed to be a secret. I just wanted to handle it myself. Handle what? Ashley drew in a shaky breath, then looked up at him. My brother. Noah blinked, thrown off. Your brother? Ashley, your brother lives 3 states away. I know. She nodded, curling her fingers nervously. He came to town unannounced. He's been in some serious trouble, Noah. The kind of trouble I didn't want to drag you into. He asked to meet somewhere quiet, somewhere far from the house. So I chose Hillside. Noah stared at her, trying to process. He didn't want anyone knowing he was here, she continued. He said people were looking for him. Dangerous people. Noah frowned. You could have told me. I'm your husband. You don't get to decide which parts of your life I'm allowed to be in. I know, she whispered. But I panicked. I thought I could fix it before it touched you. Before it touched us. The words hung heavy between them. But something still didn't sit right with Noah. Her explanation fit, but there was something in her eyes, fear, guilt, something deeper that made him uneasy. What kind of trouble? He pressed. Ashley hesitated again. Too long. Financial trouble. Debt. That's not the whole story, Noah said immediately. I can tell. She froze, her expression cracking for just a second. Noah, I want the truth, he said quietly. All of it. Ashley looked at him, then truly looked, her face pale, her eyes glossy, her breathing uneven. And for the first time since this started, Noah felt something shift. She wasn't just hiding something. She was scared. There's more, she whispered, her voice breaking. Much more. And I think it's already too late. Noah's heart dropped. Too late for what? Ashley stepped closer, lowering her voice to a trembling whisper. For us, for this house, for everything. I didn't want to drag you into this. But they're already watching. Noah stared at her, stunned. Who's watching? Ashley opened her mouth to answer. And then there was a sudden thud against the window. Both of them snapped their heads toward the sound. The curtains swayed slightly. Something or someone was outside. And the night, once quiet and harmless, suddenly felt full of eyes. The thud against the window echoed through the living room like a heartbeat that didn't belong to either of them. For a moment, neither Noah nor Ashley breathed. The only sound was the faint rattle of the curtain as it settled. Noah stepped forward instinctively, but Ashley grabbed his wrist with a sudden grip of terror. No, she whispered sharply. Don't go near the window. Her fingers trembled against his skin. Noah looked at her, really looked, and saw the fear in her eyes wasn't about the argument anymore. It was something primal, something that had lived with her for far longer than he realized. Ashley, he said quietly, what's going on? Who is out there? Her throat moved as she swallowed, but she didn't answer. Another tap sounded, lighter this time, like a fingertip brushing the glass. Noah pulled his wrist gently from her grip and took a slow step toward the window anyway. Ashley's breath hitched, but she didn't stop him. The living room lights reflected on the glass, making it hard to see into the yard. He reached for the curtain. Noah, please, Ashley pleaded. He hesitated, then pulled the curtain back. The yard was empty. Nothing but the wind sweeping through the trees. Noah exhaled, but the relief didn't settle. Something felt wrong, like the silence was staged. He turned back to Ashley. There's no one. Before he finished, the front door rattled violently. Both of them jumped. This time the noise wasn't subtle. Someone was trying the handle, turning it, testing it, jiggling it with purpose. Noah's pulse spiked. Did you lock it? Ashley nodded, clutching her hands to her chest. Of course I locked it. The handle twisted again harder. Then a low voice on the other side murmured something they couldn't make out. Noah stepped forward, but Ashley cut in front of him, eyes wide. Stop. You don't understand. If you open that door, we're done. Noah stared at her, the fear in her voice clawing at his uncertainty. Then tell me what's happening. Ashley's breathing was fast, uneven. She ran a trembling hand through her hair. I didn't tell you the whole truth. My brother, he didn't come here because of money. He didn't come here because he was running from debts. Noah's stomach clenched. Then why? She whispered the next words like they were poisonous. He stole something. Something he wasn't supposed to. And the people he took it from, they want it back. And they think I have it. The door rattled again, this time so forcefully that the wood shook. Ashley. Noah hissed. What did he steal? Ashley's eyes filled with tears, her voice cracking. A drive, she whispered. A flash drive. With data on it. Something valuable. I never even saw it. He just shoved it into my hand when we met at Hillside and told me to hide it. And then he disappeared. Noah stared at her. Where is it? Ashley's lip trembled. It's here, she said faintly. In the house. The room seemed to shrink. Noah's heartbeat thundered in his ears. Outside, the door handle stopped moving. A silence filled the air, cold and strategic. Then, from the other side of the door, a calm voice spoke. Ashley. We just want to talk. Ashley's face drained of all color. Noah stepped closer to her, lowering his voice. Do they know we're here? Do they know you're with me? Yes, she whispered. They know everything. Another voice joined the first, this one deeper, colder. Open the door, Ashley. Or we'll come in another way. Noah's eyes darted around the house, the windows, the back door, the hallway. They weren't safe. Not anymore. He grabbed Ashley's hand. We need to move. Now. Where is the drive? Ashley squeezed his hand tightly, almost painfully. Upstairs, she said. But Noah. A crack sounded from behind them. A window. Breaking. Someone had just come in. Ashley's eyes widened in horror. Noah, they're already inside. Ashley's whisper. They're inside. Cut through the air like a blade, sending a chill racing down Noah's spine. The sound of breaking glass echoed from deeper in the house, each step a warning they could no longer ignore. Noah positioned himself in front of Ashley. Which window was that? Ashley pointed with a trembling hand. The back room, the small one next to the kitchen. Just then, a heavy footstep echoed from the back of the house. Then another. Each one measured, deliberate. Soaked in a kind of darkness Noah had never felt inside his own home. He made a silent gesture to Ashley to be quiet, whispering, Stay here. But Ashley shook her head violently. No. They came for me. Because of me. If something happens to you. This isn't about blame, Noah hissed softly. You brought this here. So now you're going to listen to what I say. A silhouette emerged from the back corridor, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the quiet precision of someone trained to make violence look effortless. A black jacket clung to him like a shadow. A second figure followed, equally silent. Their faces were hidden, but their presence filled the room with a suffocating weight. The first man spoke, his voice low, calm, disturbingly confident. Good evening, Ashley. Ashley squeezed her eyes shut, her breath leaving her in a shaky tremor. Noah stepped forward. You broke into my home. You need to leave. Now. The men paused, almost amused. Then the first man's lips twisted into a thin, cold smirk. This conversation doesn't concern you, he said. This is between us and Ashley. And the item that belongs to us. Noah clenched his jaw. One more step and I call the police. The second man let out a low, dead-sounding laugh. Police, he echoed. If only it were that easy. The first man slowly reached into his pocket. Noah shoved Ashley behind him. The man didn't pull out a gun, he revealed something else instead. A sleek metal rod. When he pressed a button, a burst of electricity hissed through it. At a shock button, he stepped forward. Ashley, he said. Time is running out. Give us the drive. We're not interested in your excuses, your stories, or your tears. Hand it over and this lovely marriage of yours stays intact enough. Ashley stumbled backward, her voice breaking. I don't have it on me. I never opened it. I don't even know what's. You don't need to know, the man cut in. Noah wasn't shaking anymore. His fear twisted into something sharper. You're not touching her. The first man tilted his head slightly. Tell me something, Noah. His eyes gleamed in the dim light. Do you really think Ashley told you everything? Absolutely everything. Noah flicked a look at Ashley, her fear. And behind it, something else, guilt, a deeper secret. Something she still hadn't said. The man took another step. Why do you think we came here? How do you think we found this address so fast? How did we enter so confidently? Noah's stomach tightened. The man's voice darkened. Because someone gave it to us. Noah felt the blood drain from his face. And that someone, the man continued, is inside this house. Ashley choked on her breath. Noah, no, I didn't give them anything. I swear I didn't. The man ignored her. When your brother ran, he had one thing with him, the copy of the drive. And he gave it to one person. He stared straight at Ashley. You. Tears streamed down Ashley's face. I tried to protect him. They told me if I didn't help, they'd kill him before he even crossed the state line. Lies, the man said coldly. You were protecting yourself. Noah turned slowly to Ashley, his voice hollow. Ashley, tell me the truth. Everything. Ashley collapsed against the wall, shaking. I didn't hide it from you on purpose. But that drive, it's not just data. Noah swallowed. Then what is it? Ashley closed her eyes. It contains information that could get people killed. She opened her eyes, full of terror. In the wrong hands, it could collapse a country. Noah's heart nearly stopped. The first man smiled darkly. And we, Noah, are the wrong hands. He raised the baton. Ashley refused to cooperate. So our options are limited. With a fierce burst of instinct, Noah lunged forward. You're not touching her. But the second man moved like a shadow, shoving Noah hard into the wall. Pain shot through Noah's ribs, the world flashing white for a second. Ashley screamed. The first man stepped toward her with the baton crackling. Last chance, he said. Where is it? Ashley sobbed. Noah doesn't know. The man froze. So you hid it. He lunged. Noah, despite the pain, launched himself at the man, grabbing his wrist. The baton scorched his arm, but Noah held on. They slammed onto the floor, rolling, struggling. The baton slipped from the man's hand and clattered away. The second man moved to intervene, but Ashley screamed. Stop! Stop! I'll tell you.